our culture in school or in college does not reward taking chances. Goal is to score the maximum marks. Find ways of setting exam papers that allow them to experiment with their solution.
So you have to have the clarity about what we're doing, what the solutions it is bringing for your customers, what is the value it's creating for yourselves and your employees.
Under Genie's umbrella, we have incubators, we have pre-incubators, we have a group of investors and mentors.
Do something, say weekend projects or something which can give you understanding of what you're trying to do. It's enough for a market or it's market ready or not.
Hello and a warm welcome to another episode of Future Proofed in association with GLA University. In this podcast, we bring you experts across industry and academics who are shaping the future of work. They weigh in on diverse subjects, bringing their unique perspectives on how forward-thinking education can build employable graduates who are ready for the careers of tomorrow. I'm your host, Gaurav Chaudhary. And in this episode, we explore the world of entrepreneurship and innovation. India is actively maneuvering a shift from a nation of job seekers to one of job creators. However, for many aspiring entrepreneurs, the pathway to launching a business isn't really clear. To decode what it takes to be a successful entrepreneur and how to develop an entrepreneurial mindset, I'm being joined by Mr. Pramod Kumar Joshi, Professor of Practice, GLA University, and Krishanu Acharya, co-founder and CEO, Suhora Technologies. Welcome to the show, gentlemen. Delighted to have you here.
Thank you.
It's always a pleasure to speak to experts like you. Professor Joshi, first to you. We are discussing entrepreneurship, but tell me one thing, it's a very fundamental question, basic but fundamental nonetheless. Is entrepreneurship something that can be acquired or is it a calling? What's your view?
I think that is something that depends a lot on beyond the person. It should not be seen as something that is inherent in a human being. The culture that they grow up in is also very important. I believe that there are cultures where risk-taking is seen as a badge of honor, and then there are some cultures where you normally see failure as a stigma. So if you have people that are born and brought up in a culture of risk-taking and innovation, you will find them doing it as a calling. Whereas for other people, it might be something that happens out of necessity or circumstance.
Right.
It is possible that mid-career professional leaves his job or is fired and then takes to entrepreneurship out of that circumstance.
Right.
In that case, it's not a calling. In that case, you can call it
It's a providence.
circumstantial providence. So I think you can't really answer this question in a this or that.
Right.
It'll have to be seen in context of the environment that this person is in.
Absolutely. Krishanu, the thing here is this. You cannot teach entrepreneurship through theory. It doesn't work that way. You can have courses in business schools about entrepreneurship, but eventually it's a lived reality, isn't it? Every entrepreneur has to go through that unique path and unique journey. If I were to ask you, and you are a startup entrepreneur yourself, if I were to ask you to give us a practical guide, how would you respond to that?
Life teaches you more than a university can teach, right? So I'm pretty sure sir can also concur with that. So yes, so you have to see around what the problem statements in front of you and learn from there, rather than focusing on whatever your courses, subjects, teachers, teaching. So yes, you have to learn from the reality, and you have to walk towards that. What problem I solve, what is near around, which problem is around me, which I'd like to solve it. Maybe you can start from there, then learn from there to build something really valuable for the people, where people buy it and use it and keep on using it. So you can start scaling from there. So yes, so you learn from certain things from the universities or whatever the colleges you have, but the best teachers are the life which teaches you.
And the business that you were setting
And the business
up.
you are setting.
Absolutely.
Yes,
Professor Joshi, you did mention about cultures, and certain cultures actually encourage risk-taking and also reward risk-taking. So there's an incentive mechanism built in. India is going through a unique phase now where they're increasingly over a period of time we'll see we are trying to become job creators more than job seekers, but that's not going to happen immediately. There are millions of people who join the queue of job hopefuls every year. But having said that, there are encouraging signs. From a training point of view, how do you, try and train students to think like founders rather than employees? Because this is a massive mindset change. It also calls for a different attitude and a different approach to problem solving, because it's not just about risk taking, it's also about how you're approaching a certain problem.
Yeah, I think you've hit the nail on the head. Our culture in school or in college does not reward taking chances.
Right.
It does not reward trying to solve a problem with alternative approaches. So the goal is to score the maximum marks.
Right.
And in that attempt, you are not going to risk trying new methods. So we have to get our universities and colleges to reward even failures.
Right.
Get them to look at failure as just an attempt to learn the lessons of life. And
Right.
that's what he was trying to say, that in universities, you will not learn entrepreneurship, but in the real world, you will. Because in the real world, failure is an integral part of growth. In universities, especially in India, we have not taken that lesson to heart.
Right.
If some universities can take the lead and allow students to experiment, to fail, to recover from that failure, and then move ahead, I think we'll be talking about a cultural change.
Absolutely.
If you go to Stanford University, I mean, it's full of people who are exploring and experimenting all the time. They fail, but nobody looks down upon them.
That's right.
So we have to culturally change from, you said job seekers, right? So job seekers are looking for security.
Right.
Job creators don't have security.
Right.
They are playing with insecurity. So it will be a while before Indian mindset changes, but I think, as you rightly said, it's moving in the right direction.
Absolutely. Krishanu, the thing here is this. Most people who are not from the world of entrepreneurship, just to take an outside view,
Sure.
believe that the critical component of setting up a business is capital. However, it's got more to do with clarity rather than capital, isn't it? Capital is just another factor of production, but it is clarity that is the key determinant of any business. How would you respond to that, and what's your view on that?
I'll definitely concur with you what you're saying, right? So capital will only give you, directions which the clarity you already have. So you have to have the clarity about what we're doing, what the solutions it is bringing for your customers, what is the value it's creating for yourselves and your employees, your colleagues, etc. What is the long-term goal? That clarity also has to be there. Of course, I'm not saying that clarity will have at the first day. Of course, that learning from the life has to have. But if you don't know which directions I'm going, you certain clarity at least to start with you don't have. Then even if you have the tons of capital, you will fail. I have seen examples in my current I would say engagement in my previous life outside Suhora, and so that's how we start. We actually it brings back to my current engagement with Suhora's engagement, right? So we are a 100% bootstrap company right now, 10 million per year kind of revenue, creating solutions which one of the best of the best organizations from the country are using for their national security perspective, including some of the other applications as well. We started from the scratch. We understood there's a problem, clarity of a technology, how a technology can be utilized by certain set of customers. Use that clarity to deliver something to the users, create something quick, fail something quick as well. If you need to fail, of course you will fail in the due course of time, and build that as a product market fit first, so you can hit to the capital. So if you have capital from the beginning, then I think it has worked for quite a few people, but I'll say otherwise. So
Absolutely.
yeah.
Professor Joshi, let's talk a little bit what's happening inside GLA University, and there is an e-cell that is supporting entrepreneurs. Tell us a little bit about it. How does it go about supporting idea stage entrepreneurs, and what's been the kind of success rate, if I may ask so?
Yeah, I'll be happy to do that because I was associated with the entrepreneurship cell at GLA right from its inception.
Right.
I was the chief mentor, And it all started about 10 years ago when a few students approached me. I was on a visit to the campus and they said, can we start something related to entrepreneurship? And I was very happy that they came to me. And I said, yes, we must. And the only guideline I gave to them is let it be an organization that is run by the students, for the students, and of the students.
Right.
I will only act as a mentor. And these young six lads took it upon themselves and we started. And for the first 2 years, we put in a lot of effort in creating awareness. Because in a city like Mathura and a campus like GLA University, entrepreneurship was not really talked about. So we had to bring that sense of awareness about entrepreneurship. The next 2 years was about engagement. So we did hackathons, we did lots of events. We even started a TEDx franchise. So we have a TEDx GLAU that got started somewhere in 2018 or 19. So all these things started building towards a culture of entrepreneurship, risk-taking, innovation. We got some government grants, using which we were able to give students the money to experiment with prototypes. So prototype development was funded and we were able to fund about 125 ideas over the 5 years that we got the government funding.
Fantastic.
So I would say that GLA University has transformed from a very small start today to having an ecosystem. In fact, we call it GENIE, GENIE, stands for GLAU ecosystem for nurturing innovation and entrepreneurship.
Oh, absolutely.
Under GENIE's umbrella, we have incubators, we have pre-incubators, we have a group of investors and mentors that are there to support students. So if a student has an idea, he can come to the GENIE office and talk to the people who are there. We have got a very good team now. People who listen to the student, don't try to overanalyze his idea or her idea, and take it from the idea stage to something where they can get started with prototyping, doing a MVP, and then moving forward. So
absolutely. Krishanu, that's a good segue to come to you and ask you something about how do we actually end up preparing students for the industry. That remains a perennial problem in India's education setup, that the millions of people that are coming out of universities are actually not prepared to, or trained to fill the demand of the skills that the industry actually requires. So how do we end up actually creating a curriculum that is very industry ready?
I think, sir, what sir is doing, it's spot on. And our Suhora's engagement with quite a few universities. So we do work with IIT Delhi, Triple IT Delhi again. There's some organizations called Tyagaraja College of Engineering from Chennai, near to Chennai. So again, the understanding of a problem statement first and making it available to the students, the way they can start creating some value out of it, has to be driven by the people who are the board of that particular university colleges, right? So understanding there's tons of problems out there which if that is made available to the user, to the students, so they can start I'll say innovating, start thinking from the scratch. And even if that results to zero, that's okay, because learning, that's always, there's nothing called failed, it's always learning. So if that kind of ecosystem is being built inside a university colleges, that's what need to be done on parallel to what the course curriculum that individual college and university has, right? So that has to be brought in. Today, a lot of technology is available very easily. Compute capabilities, AI, etc., are available to the users, to the students here, and if you give them proper directions, the way SIR is doing, and I'm pretty sure if the other colleges does so, they can deliver wonders. And we have been seeing that in our engagement with quite a few colleges. So to answer you, yes. So of course we have to work on the curriculum, but some of the solutions, real world problems, given to the students so they can work on and deliver, that has to be treated very importantly as well. So I think, yeah, that's my 2 cents here. So
absolutely. Now, Professor Joshi, we did discuss this in the beginning a little bit about how we are essentially a country of job seekers, but change is now more or less visible that we are trying to become job creators. What is it that needs to be done to actually, effect this change, both in our mindset as well as also culturally, because we are ingrained and conditioned to be job seekers more than to be job creators. It starts with the family also, in the way we bring up our children. We educate our children right from the primary school level right up to the time that they are ready to become professionals. But that shift has to happen. How do we go about doing that? Because it's not just about imparting education in institutions, it's also very cultural, isn't it?
Yes, I think I would say that's a million Bitcoin question. It is not something that can be solved easily. In fact, I did my PhD and my research topic was entrepreneurial ecosystems in higher education institutions in India. And my research threw up a model of growth and development of such ecosystems inside universities. And I came up with a 7-factor model, and I'll give you those 7 factors. I believe that if universities can take up this challenge and work on those 7 factors, they can develop a good ecosystem. So the first thing is the one you talked about, the mindset of the stakeholders, right from the owners of the university to the vice chancellor to the profs. If they have to be brought into this mindset that, okay, failure is fine, let students experiment, find ways of setting exam papers that allow them to experiment with their solution creation, right? So changing the mindset of the stakeholders. And I think the alumni can play a very big role there. So that was one thing, the mindset of stakeholders. The second is motivation and mentorship. The student comes into the university pretty raw. Now, who is motivating? Who is providing mentorship? Mentorship plays a very good role. And if companies like Suhora can actually reach out and mentor students or find ways of enhancing that mentorship ecosystem, that will be a great thing. The third is exposure to industry ecosystems. Universities work in silos, industries work in silos. Students don't get the kind of exposure that they should get. The summer internship has become more of a formality. But if really, truly students are exposed to what's happening in the industry, a lot of use cases will come to their knowledge and they will work on it. So that would be the third one. Fourth is curricular and extracurricular activities can be revolved around innovation.
Right.
Instead of just doing, let's say, some club, see if they can all innovate. So we need to bring that into the university element. Innovative pedagogy. Pedagogy has to change. It has to be more innovative. Take students out under a tree. If you are doing a class, why do you have to only sit in a classroom?
Right.
Students love, at that age, they love experimentation. So we should look at a pedagogy that is more innovative. Then the infrastructure should be supportive. There should be labs where you can experiment. There should be a patent office in the university. If a student is able to create a patent, he has to be helped in doing that. So that would be my 6th factor, which is having good infrastructure for supporting innovation. And finally, the government policies and measures should be more friendly towards students.
That's
The
right.
government is doing things. I'm not saying that they are not, but often the intent is not translated into action.
Right.
And there are delays in funding, there are delays in execution. I think with these 7 factors,
Right.
I feel the universities of India could produce several startups.
Absolutely. Krishanu, let me ask you a very
Sure.
basic question. When you're training students or training young people to be entrepreneurs, one thing that they need to be trained about, which is not trained, which currently doesn't seem to be happening, is that you have to train them to deal with failure. That is not happening. That's again cultural in many ways. How do we go about addressing that?
Oh, that's a big one, right? So failure is not easy for what I have seen in my life as well, and because again, that comes from the culture we are ingrained with, right? So failure is a stigma, even today, right? So, but what we have learned from my this career entrepreneur journey of last 7.5, 8 years, failures is one chapter to the entire book that you are writing or going through, right? So you have to have failure so you can start excel from that. So I think we have to foster the minds of the entrepreneurs that failure is imminent. It has to be it will happen, and it has to happen as well, because uh, so entrepreneurship is 90% is unknown, right? So
Right.
if you don't, if you think everything that I'm trying to do today is gonna happen the way I want, you're wrong. So that you have to start from that point mindset to start with. And of course, you have to pivot, and you will pivot, right? So that's, I'll say that a failure is a pivoting point towards what you thought that it will work for you, and learn it from there. So I think it has to come from the society, culture. We've been talking, for some time. So culture has to also foster. There has to have certain ecosystem also, are say from the young entrepreneurs who wants to be young entrepreneurs. I'll say, don't put every egg in your one basket. So do something, say weekend projects or something which can give you understanding of what you're trying to do. It's enough for a market, or it's market ready or not, right? So if you can see that quickly, fail it fast also, and learn it from there, and then pivot. I think that's what we should be doing. But failure, nevertheless, failure is imminent, and everybody has to go through that. So
Absolutely. Professor Joshi, final question to you is about artificial intelligence. We are now entering a very long period of high noon, if I may say so, of artificial intelligence and machine learning, AI and ML. They're more than buzzwords. They're changing our lives in every way that we can probably imagine or could not have imagined maybe even 2 years ago. How is GLA University actually going about doing this, trying to incorporate AI and ML in the curriculum, training, and also helping decision making for students who eventually will go on to become entrepreneurs?
Yes, I think AI is the new frontier, and you cannot escape it. You have to leverage it to the maximum. It is going to be a part of the future business world, and it is grabbing attention big time. So at GLA University, we have not shied away from that fact, and we introduced a BTech in AI with AI ML about 3 or 4 years ago. So students get to learn the concepts and then apply them in the lab. There's a significant investment that has been made in the lab infrastructure. So the students are getting to work on a lot of use cases. And we know that AI is almost there in every sphere. So we can teach students to look at the application of AI across supply chain, across manufacturing, across agriculture. So I think GLA University, given that it has almost all the faculty and departments, it can leverage AI to the maximum, and we are working towards that.
Absolutely. Krishanu, final question to you
sure.
is about creating some kind of an equal ecosystem. And this is, I'm talking about gender equality
Sure.
here. Do you think, first of all, two parts to the question, do you think there is some kind of a gender inequality in entrepreneurship or training of entrepreneurship is concerned so far? Is the startup ecosystem more inclined towards favoring men than women? What's your experience and what's your view? And two, how do we go about actually addressing that divide?
I think I have to agree to disagree on that. So in our kind of ecosystem, that what we are a space that in Earth observations, a lot of data science. So women's are giving hard time to the men's as well. So I don't see that really happening in our kind of world. Of course, some of the other areas, maybe some of the other, say, social entrepreneurship, etc. There might have some biasness towards men's. But in our kind of scenario, the women's are equally live and kicking. Our best of the people are women's at this moment. So that's not the case for us. But I'm pretty sure that can be an issue in some of the other areas,
like manufacturing.
But like manufacturing, right? Of course, it has its own way, because that again goes to our cultural, culture is coming up, and there, right? So security, etc., are also very important. That we could not really. We have to understand that we have not created a really nice infrastructures towards a safety and security of women's. So those are you cannot deny that. But I think things are changing. The way even in the manufacturing, etc. Even today, sometime we see the way the Uber drivers are women. So that's a nice change. I'm not saying that's the very good thing, but that's also happening. So I think while it is not very frequent in our kind of scenario, but it might be the case. But we have to work together, and so I think the men's often brings their kind of ego in between.
Right.
So we have to keep that, some side, some back of our pocket. So
Absolutely.
so
I
we
think
have to bring.
very well
Yeah.
said. All of us have a responsibility towards it, and I think it's in our interest for the country, for the society,
That's correct.
to create a more equal society and equal opportunities for everyone. On that note, thank you so much, Krishanu, Acharya, and Professor Joshi, for taking the time out and dropping by and having this wonderful conversation with us. That was all on this episode of Future Proofed. In this series, we'll look at the current trends that are shaping the future of work. We bring you these in partnership with GLA University, which is at the forefront of training a new generation of students in modern-day job demands. We hope this show guides and inspires you on your educational, professional, and self-improvement journey. We'll be back soon with more academic and industry perspectives on the evolving Indian jobs landscape. Until then, goodbye. Take care and stay safe.